What did you make today?
Easel.
Was that fun?
Yeah.
What tools did you use? All I have to do now is drill like 250 holes in there for the pocket holes, so it's easier to put together. But I think this is enough for about 24 kits, give or take a little, easel kits. So we're off to a good start here. These were all 2x4s a week ago. And now they are all different sizes. These ones have angles on them. These ones have angles on them, 10-degree angles. And I think we're ready to go. So far, the only tools that I've actually used are the rip saw and the miter box. Really, I haven't used that many tools yet. So I'm going to use the pocket holes, and then the rest will be up. Good afternoon. Here I am with a whole bunch of easel kits, and I'm really excited to see how these go. I'm excited to see you put these together and put them into action. So basically, I tried to do my best on the kits. I really tried to make sure you had all the parts that you need, and we are low on screws, so you know, if I didn't give you extras hardly. So try not to lose what's in the bag, because you know, that's what I had. I didn't give you extras. The lumber, like I said before, I did the best I could. I know some of the boards are a little sketchy. You might have to sand them a little bit. There are some corners that will give you splinters, so not a bad idea to wear some gloves when you're handling this lumber. And I don't know, I'm just excited to see some pictures and some videos of you working on these things. And be sure you really watch my video on how to build this, because there is some specific ways you have to do it. And if you don't do it following the video, it's just not going to turn out. So take your time and do a really good job. Maybe you could paint it up at the end and decorate a little bit. This could be a good gift idea for a sibling or a family member. Mother's Day, Father's Day is coming around the corner, birthdays, you know, whatever you can think of. So let me know how it goes for you. I'm excited to see it. These came out of 2x4s, so basically I just took 2x4s and 2x6s and ripped them into pieces. So everything's 1.5 inches wide. And then, so we have different lengths. These are the vertical pieces here. These are about 51 inches to the longest part. And you'll notice on the bottom edge, they have an angle. So the bottom, where the bottom's supposed to be, there's a 10-degree angle at the bottom. So you want to make sure you find the angle sides and put those to the bottom. All right, and then we have these pieces here. This one is 16 3/4, and it has 10-degree angles on them as well. This one over here is about 5 1/8, and that one has 10-degree angles on it. This middle piece is 32 inches. It goes here. This one over here for the leg is 45 inches, so that's the leg. And then we have the top of the leg. This one is 6 inches. And this one's really easy to get mixed up with this one, because this one's just a little less at 5 1/2. And this one's a little thinner. So make sure you don't mix these up. So the one that's a little bit longer goes on top of the leg, and the other one is going to help move the tray up and down. So then we have these 2 little blocks of wood. Those go with that piece. And then we have the 3 pieces for your tray. So the 3 pieces for the tray are 18.5 inches, and these little blocks of wood are 2 inches long. So then we have your kit of fasteners that came with it, and I just kind of laid that out. You will have to try to find some tape, and I think I'll probably be able to get you a piece of string with that as well, but if not, you might have to find a piece of string. So the first thing I put together was this piece, okay? And I used the pocket holes. I lined all those up on the same side. And I found the center. So I measured across here, found the center. And to double check that, I measured both ways to see if I was right. Put a center mark here. And I put 2 screws in there. Same thing over here. I found the center, put the 2 screws in there. So my angles should be going, they should both be going down. So both angles go this way, just like that. So that's where that's going to go. The screws I used to put that together were these 1¼ inch coarse thread screws made for softwood lumber. And now I'm ready to attach this to the base here, the legs. I'm going to attach this to the legs. And in order to do that, the first mark I'm going to measure up is I measured up and put a 9-inch mark right here. So I measured at the bottom of the leg, and I measured up 9 inches and made 2 marks. I mean, you could change that measurement. That'd be a measurement that you could change. You know, if you want a little lower, you could go a little lower. If you want a little bit higher, you could go a little bit higher. But they do need to be the same on both sides. And once again, I know I've already said this, but I want the legs to go inward so they're the same angle, so that when I stand this up, it'll lay it nice and flat on your surface. Okay, so if you have a clamp available, this would be a good time to try to find a clamp. If you do not have a clamp available, that's okay. You can just try to hold it. You could set something heavy on there. You could find a friend to try to help you. You hold this, or family members. So now I'll put the driver bit in the drill. This would be like the long driver bit that came with your kit here. You're trying to make, when you use this, you want this to almost go flat to where the drill is going to touch the board, okay? We want quite a steep angle on it. And you're going to go slow on the trigger, okay? But I'm going to push on the back of the drill fairly hard. So I'm pushing quite hard here, and then I'm going fairly slow on the trigger. I don't want to put my hand right here, because if it slips, it's going to come and poke me in the hand. So I want to be careful to avoid that. So then I'm going to move on to this back section here. Alright, I'm going to situate this so you can kind of see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to clamp this in place here. Put another screw in. This side I don't really have to measure because I already measured on that side. So I put this screw in here. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next piece. I just flipped this over, so I got to flip it back to where it is. And I'm going to clamp this down again. Like I said, I want to start at the bottom again. I have to start at the bottom because that's where my mark is. So grabbing another 1¼ inch screw. Alright, I'm going to put this in here. Alright, now I'm going to move up here to the top. Clamp this down, put my 1¼ inch screw in here. Alright, so now my basic frame is complete. So here is the actual, base of this, and I'm going to set this aside. Now I can work on a couple different things. I might just work on the leg real quick. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to find the center again. So I'm going to measure. It's 6 inches, so this one should be a really easy measurement for you at 6 inches. So mark this down and find the halfway point. And then I'm going to put this together. I'm going to just double check my measurement. Okay, here's the leg. I got the leg put together. I'm going to set this off to the side. So now this is probably one of the more tricky parts. I'm going to make the tray that raises this up and down. This will be what holds your painting. And I want to make sure I center this well. So if this is 18.5 and this is 5.5, I'm going to be a little over 6 inches on each side. About 6.5 almost, I believe. Yep, so we're at 6.5 on each side. All right, so now I want to put my blocks. I'm going to make a mark at 6.5. All right, and then I'm going to put my blocks in here. So now I'm going to have to find my tape. And I'm going to wrap my tape all the way around this piece to try to hold it for me. So I'm lining it right up with my mark at 6.5. Put my tape on here. And I'm trying to go all the way around. Alright, so I have one side taped. Now I'm going to tape the other side. Just found some painter's tape. You could use any kind of tape for this, really. You know, it doesn't have to be anything special. I need a little more though, I guess. Okay, so now you'll see how this is flushed on each side. And then once again, I'm trying to center this. So this measurement and this measurement should be the same. And if you did this right, this should fit in here. So one of your other pieces should fit in pretty well to make this work for you. Now I'm going to, on the back side, I'm going to do some measurements on the back to help drill my holes here. So I'm going to measure in 1 inch on each end first. Make a vertical line, flip it over. I'm going over 1 inch. Vertical line. So what you see here is my two verticals at 1 inch. And now I'm going to measure down 3/8 of an inch. Whoops. I'm going to measure down 3/8 from the top. Alright, so I should have a little plus there. So I have a little plus here, a little plus here. There's 3/8 down, over 1 inch. Now I'm just going to take one of my screws that I have laying around and use my little kid's hammer here. I'm just going to tap in. I'm trying to dent it a little bit so I can be more accurate. So all I did there is took the screw or a nail or whatever and just made a mark here, a dent. So that way my drill bit will help follow that just a little bit better. So now for this I'm looking for a 1/4 inch drill bit. So I take my 1/4 inch drill bit and I'm trying to drill as straight as I can through these pieces. If you have a drill press for this, that would be awesome. But if you don't, the hand drill will work fine. You just kind of have to take it easy on it. Okay, so now I can peel the tape off. I might want to mark these a little bit, label them somehow so I know which little block went with which side. So maybe before I take it all apart, I just take a mark and go across the top like this, just so I know how that goes together. So I just made a couple marks so I know. Now I'm going to take this back apart here, and I'm going to find my carriage bolts. So here's the big carriage bolts. They have a large surface area on the top there for the head, and then I'm going to slide these over there, and I'm just going to tap them in. So when you tap them in, it kind of locks the bolt so it doesn't unscrew on you. So now you're actually going to leave these in. So I would just leave these in because if you take them out, then it's not going to help you when you go to put this together. So now I'm going to take the other part and it's going to go together like this. So I have the bolts on there like this. And I'm going to find my hammer now and my nails. Alright, and you probably just need 3 nails per side. You're going to line it up so it's flush. My nails started here. Alright, I'm going to move on to the next one, probably in the middle somewhere. Now another option I'm going to have for you, if you have a nail if you're having a hard time with this, I'm going to give you a nail in your kit that doesn't have a head on it. So I'm going to take a pair of snips here and I'm going to cut the head off the nail. Okay, so now it's just a nail without the head. And if you want, you could put the nail in the drill bit, the drill. So now the nail's in the drill, and I can use the drill to pre-drill a hole. Okay, so now this next nail is going to go in a little bit easier. All right, because I have cut the head off that. So that one went in a little easier because I pre-drilled it with the nail itself. So if you find that your nails you're struggling with that, you know, that could be something you could do. Another thing, if you bend your nail over or anything, use your hammer and try to use the claw of the hammer to pull that out. Sometimes you have to put like a block of wood underneath the hammer to give yourself more leverage, or you can tilt the hammer sideways and that will help you pull that piece out. Okay, so now I'm going to put this piece on, and this part you might have to set you know, something underneath it to boost it up a little bit. And, you know, I happen to be working in this table that has holes in it, so I'm just going to put those in the holes, but you could do other things there. So now I'm going to put a couple more nails on this part. This piece of wood had a curve on it. Some of you will find that. I'd put the curve on the outside. That's the edge of the 2x4 when it was cut up. So I'm just going to try to put 3 nails along this one. There's one. Oh, this one I can feel is going in crooked to begin with. So I'm going to straighten it out. Whenever you're using a hammer, you want to put your hand near the back of the hammer. That will give you more leverage. Make it a little better. Alright. Go on to one more here. I can kind of feel it on this one. The grain of the wood is trying to keep the nail. It's wanting to bend it out. I have to hold the nail just a little more. Alright. So now I have my 3 nails. So now my tray. This is my tray to hold my painting or my canvas. And that's pretty much good to go. So now I have all the main parts built. I have the base, I have the leg, I have the tray, and now I just need to put the hinge on here. So you might get 1 hinge or you might get 2 hinges. It just kind of depends on where we're at with the hinge supply. They didn't quite give me the right size hinges, so I have 2 different kinds. So you're either going to get 1 big one or 2 small ones. So then you're just going to lay this on, there's a couple ways you could do this. You can mount the hinge on the leg first, or you can mount it on here. So I'm kind of in a little bit of a debate which one's easier. I think I'm going to go with putting it on the leg first. So just like before, you're going to measure to find the center, okay? And now for this, we have to drill some small holes to pre-drill for the screws. So once I get this centered, and this one's pretty easy to center again because it's just a 6-inch piece. So I'm centering it with that first major hole on the hinge. And then I'm just going to hold it down here and I'm going to trace where the center of the screws go. So I just made a couple little circles there of where the center of the screws are going to be. And then I can just take my nail drill bit again, try to line it up with the center there. Alright, and then alright, so I just drilled 3 holes in there for the hinge. So now I can put the hinge on here. Alright, now I'm going to find these small screws and I'm just going to set one on top there. And I'm going to set another one on top. And then I'm going to set one more on top. And now for this I would just use a regular screwdriver. If you use a drill, the chance of you stripping this out are going to be a little bit higher. And a regular screwdriver should work fine. You're just going into some pine. So I'm just using a filter. Alright, so now my hinge is on, and now I can hold this up here, like this, and I can circle the back of where this would be for the hinge to mount on the back. Alright, so I'm going to put this over here. So the barrel of the hinge ends up lining right up on the top. So here's the barrel of the hinge. That's going to line up right on the top of this top board. Okay, and then I do the same thing. I circle the holes. I use my drill. I can pre-drill the holes for the screws. And then I can grab my small screws. And then I just screw this down. So you're going to put 3 more screws in there. Alright, so I just did one just to make this faster, but you put 3 more screws in there. And now you'll set this up like so. And you can take you're going to want to find your wing nuts. So here's the wing nuts that are going to go on the carriage bolts. Okay. And you're going to put this through here. You're going to, if you marked it, like I suggested, it'll be pretty easy to figure out which one goes where. Alright, so those go in here like this. And then this piece goes on next. And that's how this works. So you can loosen the wing nuts. And you can move this up or down, so it's adjustable. So that helps you depending on what size painting you have. You can move it way to the top if it's a small painting, way at the bottom if it's a really big painting. So then you just keep tightening down the wing nuts. Now if you find that after you tighten down the wing nuts it's still a little bit loose, what you could do is just attach a little shim in here, okay, to make this a little bit better. So if you find that it's a little bit loose, you could just put a couple pieces of tape or something right here to make this space just a little smaller. So anything, I mean, you could glue a piece of fabric on there, or glue a piece of foam, or just a little something to make this space a little bit more snug, so then it doesn't. It could be this piece just it was a little thinner than the rest. But I don't think most of you won't have that problem. So it should go pretty good. So then my next step is just putting the string on. So, you're just going to take your smallest screws, smallest square head screws. So these ones are really small and they have a square head on them. And you're just going to put some screws on here so that way you can attach your string. So these ones, it doesn't really matter where you put these. Okay, you can put one right here. Alright, and you can put another one over here somewhere. Alright, now I'm just going to take my string and I'm going to attach it to the 2 screws, tie it in a knot there, and then that will hold the distance that I need so the easel will stand up by itself. Alright, well that's basically the easel project. Now you can take your sandpaper and sand it up. You can paint it. you know, so it looks good, presentable. Maybe even do a little artwork on the